What if the entire foundation of human history is a carefully constructed fiction designed to serve the ruling elite? What if we've been deliberately misled about our past, our origins, and the forces that have shaped the world we live in today? History, his story, isn't just a collection of facts about our ancestors. It's a weapon of control. Every era, every war, every celebrated figure, and every timeline has been carefully curated to hide the truth and keep humanity in the dark. We've been programmed to believe a narrative filled with contradictions, unanswered questions, and impossible stories. It's time to dismantle the lie piece by piece and uncover what really happened. Buried in ancient maps and half-forgotten documents lies the evidence of an empire so vast, so advanced, that its very existence has been wiped from mainstream history. Known as Tartaria, this civilization stretched across much of what we now call Russia, Central Asia, and parts of Europe. Its influence was global, and remnants of its presence can still be seen in the grand architecture that official history cannot explain. Look at the monumental structures scattered across the world, the intricate buildings of St. Petersburg, the ornate railway stations of the 19th century, and even old world structures in the United States. These buildings are attributed to relatively recent periods, but the story of their construction is suspicious at best. Many were allegedly built in record time, often just to be torn down shortly after. The World's Fairs are a prime example. Vast, sprawling cities with grand domes, towers, and detailed facades, all supposedly temporary structures thrown together in mere months. It's not just Europe. The Great Wall of China may have been a border of Tartaria, not an ancient Chinese creation. Even in places like North America, star forts, underground cities, and hidden architectural wonders hint at a far older civilization with advanced technology and knowledge we no longer possess. Why was Tartaria erased? The answer lies in the need for control. An advanced civilization like Tartaria, with free energy systems, highly advanced architecture, and knowledge beyond our current understanding, threatened the power structure. They couldn't let this knowledge survive, so they rewrote history. Throughout history, there have been unexplained resets, periods when entire cities disappeared, populations were replaced, and historical records were rewritten. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence for this is the mud flood theory, which suggests that a global cataclysm covered vast parts of the world in mud, burying entire cities and resetting civilization. Look closely at old cities like Paris, Rome, or Istanbul, and you'll notice buildings with windows and doors buried below street level. These aren't basements, they're the original ground floors of buildings that were partially swallowed by mud. Even the Roman Colosseum shows signs of having been excavated rather than built in situ. Why don't we hear about this in history books? Because acknowledging a global reset would unravel the carefully constructed timeline of human history. It would force us to confront the fact that much of our past has been deliberately hidden, along with the knowledge of who we really are, of who. Our ancestors were far more advanced than we've been led to believe. The pyramids of Giza, Machu Picchu, and the megalithic ruins of Baalbek aren't relics of primitive people. They're the remnants of a civilization with technological capabilities far beyond what we have today. Consider the precision cut stones at Pumapunku in Bolivia, which fit together with laser-like accuracy. These stones were carved with tools that leave no tool marks, suggesting a level of technology that didn't officially exist at the time. In Egypt, the Great Pyramid is not just an elaborate tomb, it's aligned perfectly with the stars and may have been an energy generator rather than a burial site. Why are we still taught that these structures were built by slaves with ropes and chisels? Because the truth would expose the lie that human history is a linear progression from primitive to modern. It would reveal that we once possessed knowledge and technology that could free humanity from the chains of scarcity and dependence. One of the greatest historical deceptions is the phantom time hypothesis, which argues that nearly 300 years of history were invented. According to this theory, the years between 614 and 911 AD never actually happened. They were fabricated by medieval rulers to legitimize their power and align historical timelines with religious prophecies. Think about it. Where are the great innovations, the architectural wonders, or the cultural advances from this period? There are none. Instead, we're told that Europe stagnated in darkness and ignorance for centuries before magically rediscovering ancient knowledge during the Renaissance. But what if those dark ages never existed? What if they were invented to hide a previous civilization and create a new timeline that served the ruling elite? Wars are never just about territory or ideology. They are often tools for reshaping the world and rewriting history. World War I, for example, redrew the map of Europe and erased empires that had existed for centuries. The Napoleonic Wars were not simply about French expansion. They were about destroying old systems and consolidating power under a new world order. Even the American Civil War was about far more than slavery or states' rights. It was about seizing control of the burgeoning American economy and centralizing power in the hands of the elite. World War II, sold to us as a battle between good and evil, was full of hidden agendas. Major banking families funded both sides, profiting massively while millions died. The Marshall Plan, which rebuilt Europe after the war, also conveniently allowed the global elite to reshape European economies and consolidate power. We're taught that the Renaissance was a sudden explosion of art, science, and culture, but who curated that history? How did the world go from the supposed ignorance of the Middle Ages to producing geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo in just a few generations? Many of the great figures of this time were creations of the ruling class, designed to give the illusion of progress. Others were carefully selected and elevated to prominence, while competing knowledge was suppressed. The so-called rediscovery of ancient texts conveniently aligned with the agenda of those who controlled the narrative. How do you ensure that no one questions the narrative? Control the education system. This was the strategy of industrialists like John D. Rockefeller, who transformed education into a factory for obedient workers. His words say it all. I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. History is not taught as a subject of inquiry. It's a list of dates, kings, and wars presented as facts, with no room for alternative interpretations. Schools are designed to indoctrinate, not educate. Critical thinking is discouraged and curiosity is punished. The lie is crumbling and the truth is rising. We're on the edge of a massive awakening, a collective realization that our past is far more incredible and far more complex than we've been told. Hidden civilizations, advanced technology, fabricated timelines, and grand resets. This is the real history of humanity. The question is, what else are they hiding?